When you have a policy or belief that you want others to follow along with, either have something substantial or something of substance to say to validate your point, or get somebody else to do it. We'll try to watch this real quick and then we're going to get into it.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you'd support?
I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are.
You know what's fun? I was about to say, when the last time you heard of Xerox? But Xerox, the company, is still around. I'm not sure they still do the paper on paper, you know, sign a piece of paper, give you a yellow copy, I keep the pink copy and give them the white copy. I don't think they still do that. But they are still around, kind of like IBM and TI. Those companies are still around, not really doing the same thing that they was known for back 20, 30 years ago, but they're still around. But anyway, how the hell do you Xerox an ID?
Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't, there's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them.
Is there a Kinko's in the inner city? I don't think I've seen a Kinko's or an Office Max. This got to be an old video, but them pearls look like something she wore yesterday in her rallies. Same earrings. Uh, yeah. Well, I'm going to say this. Down here in the DFW, down here in Texas, there's no Kinko's and there's no Office Max still around. It's an Office Depot. Office Depot, Office Max, I guess you want to say that. Kinko's, no, I think they got sucked up bought off by FedEx or UPS, one of them. But I'm sorry, there's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max. When they say you talk about somebody who's out of touch, rural area, really, I live damn near in the rural area, and no, there are no Kinko's or Office Max where I live. Like I said, there's a FedEx and there's a UPS store. Matter of fact, there's also a cell phone that I can put in my hand and make a photocopy of my ID and send it in. I had to do that with the IRS. I did it with a couple of bank accounts. Uh, there are other things that I use my driver license, insurance. They'll say, what you call it, like doctor's office when you like a pre-visit check-in, you just take a picture of your ID on the front and back, send it in, and they can tell if it's authentic or not somehow through your phone. Man, I tell you, that phone stuff is scary. So you really don't need, because shoot, if people can't send a copy of their ID anywhere, rural or not rural, you got something bigger to worry about than voting. Especially for the policies that these people are running on.
People have to understand that when we're talking about voter ID laws, be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are.
Now, I could have sworn the voter ID laws the Democratic Party are talking about were supposed to benefit older Black Americans who didn't have a driver license, who didn't have a photo ID, who somehow couldn't get to their post office or somehow couldn't get to the driver license place to get an ID. But yet you got people all around you that drive. They got a license somehow. They got a photo ID somehow. So how in the heck could you not get it? I mean, if you're like 80 years old, 90 years old, but God dog it, Jimmy Carter voted, and that son gun is 100. Like, what the heck is he voting for? Like, seriously. And they show videos of him at his pictures of him at his birthday party. That dude was half dead. How did he vote? See, that's what's wrong with the Democratic Party now, boy. Y'all was willing to put Biden out there until Trump showed him up, and Biden would have been half dead running the country.
Of course, people have to prove who they are. but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
How the hell is that impossible? To everything you do, you have to have an ID. Matter of fact, let me. Almost. This is from Connect Co of the Great, but we're gonna scroll down here. I want y'all to look at something real quick. What does that say? When a valid ID is required. So you look at this and it says when a valid ID is required and when a valid ID is not required. You see the discrepancy in the list, right? It says let's talk about what she's talking about. Rural areas. Boarding the plane. Well, a lot of people in the rural areas may not do a lot of flying. Understand it. Getting a prescription. Well, in this day and age, in this country, everybody is going to get a prescription once in their life. You got to have an ID to get a prescription, even in rural areas. Applying for a job. Most people in rural areas, not a whole lot of places to work, so they're going to go to the big city to look for a job. They're going to leave a little small town to go to the big city to get a job. They're going to need a job. They're going to need an ID for that. Cashing a check. Not a lot of people cash. You know who cash checks? Immigrants, migrants. They go to these check cashing places and cash checks and get robbed all the time. Applying for food stamps. Well, there are a lot of immigrants and Hispanics and American citizens too that apply for food stamps. You got to have an ID to do that. Driving. Well, if you live in rural areas, there's really not too many places you can walk to. So pretty much everybody in the country either have or know somebody who has a car. So you need an ID for that. Getting married. I think that's still a big thing that people do now, although a lot of people try to want to pretend like they want to be single for the rest of their life. But for those who get married, you still need a valid ID. Adopting a pet. I don't know too much about adopting. I know everybody have dogs and they just give them to each other. And buying alcohol. If I know one thing about rural areas, they have alcohol. Like I said, I pretty much live in a rural area and right up the road. Yeah, there's a liquor store right up the road. You got to have an ID to get that. You got to have an ID to get all those things, but yet these people are trying to tell you that if you live in a rural area, you don't need an ID to vote, which can be one of the most important decisions you make in your life that will affect you, your family, and generations after you. But this one here, where's her face? Says that you don't have a Kinko's to go to, then you shouldn't be expected to show ID to vote. I'm voting come Monday. I got my driver's license, I got my passport, and I have my voter's registration card. I just may take all three just in case they don't know who I am. But anyway, this is the person y'all voting for, and these are some of the policies that she's backing. Tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you nothing but a couple minutes of your day, but it means everything to us here. If you want to support monetarily, you can give super thanks, super chats, or go to the description box below. There are links there you can click on to help support monetarily. Don't forget to go to marlonmorale.com. It's marlonmorale.com where you get 10% off your first purchase, or go to the description box below. Go to the shop button below this video where you can buy products there too. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon page. I'm starting to load up all my videos there, the ones that YouTube monetize and the one they'll demonetize, and some that I will make that can't show on YouTube without getting a strike. Patreon, you can go there uncensored. But with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.